Spain have recovered from the disaster of 2014. They have a nice blend of youth, experience, strength and depth. I'm gonna say winners. Well, that's the end of me. Now, I get that everyone loves an underdog story, right? But please, lads, this is getting out of control. I love a Greece fairy tale as much as the next fella, alright? I mean, sort of. I mean, watching their brand of football is about as much fun as drinking bleach. I actually want to see some teams of actual quality contest the World Cup final. Not Sweden versus fucking Japan. By the way, Jesus, no offense to the Japanese. Great bunch of lads.
I hear you're a racist now, father.
But for fuck's sake, I do not want to watch their defense pass the ball around for 40 minutes in a World Cup final, terrified of going anywhere near the other half's box, much like a born-again Christian on their honeymoon. I mean, look at the pedigree left in the tournament. There are 3 World Cup winners left, and Uruguay's was in 1930 when there were like 6 teams, so does that even count anymore? It's like that old man bragging about his Tinder conquest back in the day. Sean, it doesn't count if they're all dead. Anyway, I'll just shut up now, will I? I'll just get on with the video. Right, Spain are the latest casualty, although I wouldn't be surprised if a bunch of Egyptians had already beat Ramos to Madrid airport.
Oh no! There he is! Seek 3F!
But losing to Russia, lads, you've only yourselves to blame. This is what happens when you sack a manager 2 days before the tournament starts and stick with the same brand of outdated football. Like, why are they still playing tiki-taka football? Lads, that died out years ago. That's like walking around in 2018 wearing dungarees and still listening to Peter Andre. You'd be laughed out of the local shop. Then again, if you listen to Peter Andre back in the 90s, you should still be pushed off a bridge. They had 120 minutes to score against Russia. They scored once. That's it. I mean, it started well. They went 1-0 up pretty early on. Sergei Ignashevich showed everyone just why it's not so clever to have a 38-year-old defender playing in a World Cup. That man is so old, I'm surprised he even knew where the f*** he was. That man turns 39 this week. What the f*** was he doing on the pitch? He should be sitting at home somewhere getting fed a bunch of pills to keep him alive. Don't try and wrestle Sergio Ramos to the ground. It ended up just bouncing off his heel and into the back of the net. Yep, great defending, lad, just completely ignoring page 1 of football. Look at the f***ing thing. How would you expect to clear the ball when you look the opposite way? That's like if an author decided to write a book, but their first port of call was to chuck the computer out the window. Believe it or not, Sergei, it doesn't work. Although maybe you're one who wrote that 50 Shades of Grey nonsense probably should have done that. The only people I feel worse for than those surly boyfriends being dragged to that ovary tingling nonsense were the cinema clerks who probably needed a hose to clean the floor after each screening. That is such a vile mental image. Ramos, of course, went off celebrating while 95 million Egyptians threw their beer cans at the TV. Oh wait, a lot of Egyptians don't drink, do they? To be fair though, it was quite decent athleticism from Ramos. Athleticism! Yeah, he's from West Cork, so I'm guessing that's not the first bush he's dived into. Cork women look like Hagrid. There was a penalty in the second half. I mean, thankfully, we hadn't had one in a while. I was starting to get worried. The lads in the VAR studio were probably feeling about as useless as a condom in a nun's house. Gerard Piqué looked like he was throwing shapes. Don't know what his hand was doing up there. Before Artem Dzyuba, the Russian Peter Crouch, tucked it into the bottom corner. And that's the way it stayed. I mean, Andres Iniesta had been dropped because... I honestly have no idea. He eventually did come on, but Jesus Christ, it was still just the same sideways passing. Just do something.
Passes to center, back to wing, back to center, center holds it, holds it, holds it!
In the end, after a while, it was penalties and Koke missed the decisive one. Russia slotted theirs and knocked the former World Cup champions out of the tournament. Did anyone think back in July 2010 that Spain would have to wait 12 years to win their next World Cup knockout game? And she's great. Even then, if they keep up this tiki-taka nonsense, they'll probably lose to North Korea at that stage. I mean, your man's gonna tell everyone that they lost anyway, so they might as well make it official. I bet you people in North Korea probably think they've won this World Cup. They're probably showing highlights from 2010 and hoping nobody notices. For Spain, nobody was really incisive. Jordi Alba made some decent runs. Marco Asensio was dangerous, but Diego Costa touched the ball less times than the ball boy. Fair play to Russia. I mean, it was a horrendous game, but they withstood a lot of pressure, hanging in there like Bruce Jenner's foreskin. By the way, not sure how the Russian manager didn't lose his shit. He is the most typically Russian man I've ever seen. Just cool, calm and composed. Lad, you have just guided your team into a World Cup quarter-final. Give us a smile, no? He looks like the type of fellow who pours vodka in his cornflakes, strangles pigeons in his sleep, and spends his Friday nights angrily refusing students entry into nightclubs. Made even more weird by the fact he's not even employed to do that. So Denmark took on Croatia, and I hope none of you decided to take a piss after kickoff, because you would have missed the first 2 goals. Then again, if your piss takes more than 4 minutes, you probably need to change your diet and book a trip to the doctor. Matthias Jorgensen opened the scoring for Denmark before Mario Mandzukic level matters minutes later. And then that was it, really. For a long time. Feel a bit cheated after that. It's sort of like starting a Netflix series. And you know, it looks really good. Oh, 2 main characters killed off in the first 10 minutes. Great, I'm invested. Then it's just a load of dialogue and people nervously eating dinner together. No, yeah, that's great. Great choice by me. Really glad I decided to waste my evening watching this. But even still, it's still enjoyable because with the knockouts, there's still the nerves. You can feel the nerves. I mean, both sides were evenly matched. It went extra time. I'm begging for penalties. And then the referee gives one. No, I don't want that one. I think you'll all agree with me on this. If you watched a fairly dull game for 120 minutes, you deserve the drama of a penalty shootout. We all do. It's like spending your afternoon at your mother-in-law's 69th birthday party, and just when you think, oh, thank fuck, it's time to leave, enjoy the menopause, some wanker brings out his guitar and 2 more bowls of butternut squash. Lad, I would bury you under that Wonderwall if you don't let me leave.
Ooh, you're hard showing off.
This was sort of like that, except Kasper Schmeichel then saved Luka Modric's penalty. Yes, we got some drama. You can't help but love the Schmeichels. I mean, I bet Peter and I don't want to say giving up on his son, but yeah, I bet he never thought he'd see Kasper lifting Premier League titles and playing in World Cup knockout rounds when he was, you know, scrubbing toilets at Darlington and Falkirk. For Christ's sake, the last time Denmark won a World Cup, Kasper was in League One with Johnny Jackson and Ade Ekenboy at a club where Sol Campbell thought this after 20 minutes. And so to the penalty shootout. Both keepers were magnificent. Daniel Subasic saved 3. Kasper only saved 2. What a loser! What's happened? Croatia are through. Russia are through. Look, I'll tell you now. Look, going back, let's see, 10, 15 years. Croatia, okay, Euro 2004. Russia finished bottom of their group. Croatia finished 3rd in their group. Switzerland finished below Croatia in bottom of the group. Belgium didn't even qualify. Then the World Cup 2 years later, neither Colombia or Uruguay even made it. Uruguay lost the playoff to Australia. Japan finished bottom of their group. England are England. I mean, you know what I mean. I mean, if you told me 10 to 15 years ago that a bunch of these teams would be in with a realistic chance of making the World Cup semi-finals, I'd tell you Leicester City have a better chance of winning the league. I don't know, what do you think, lads? Are you happy with the fact that the World Cup is so damn open? Are you one of those that are just, England is coming home? I'm just worried that we're going to be watching a really boring final, like a really uninspiring final. Like, remember Porto versus Monaco? The international version of that. About as tantalizing as eating cardboard with a knife and fork. Welcome to my Wednesday nights when the ad money runs out. Anyway, that's the end of the video. Let me know what you think, lads. Drop your opinions in the comment section below. You know what to do. If you enjoyed the video, give it a like, give it a share, and a subscribe. My Twitter's here. And as always, I'll talk to you in a while.